Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and it's Monday and it's March 1st, and believe it or not, we're starting another month. The weeks are just flying by here. Seems like we just had Christmas and we're already starting March. I'm ready for spring personally. It's been a crazy last few weeks. We had all that snow and cold weather down in the single digits here where I'm at, which is very rare. And then the very next week, last few days, last week we had 70-degree temperatures, 75 one day over the weekend, and which is tornado weather in our area, which is never good. But now we're back in the 40s again today, and it feels like it's freezing after being 75 degrees yesterday. So anyway, let's talk about the chart here. Uh, this is a uptrend all the way. This is what you call a spiking channel. Notice how prices spike up and then they fall over into this channel that's about a 45-degree angle. This is a really strong trend. It can be kind of deceiving because you see all the little bars and lots of little small doji looking bars and stems on both sides. It doesn't look it, but that's a very strong trend. And when you see that, you just about can buy every bullish bar that comes back off of this trend line. I didn't mark them all because it's too hard for newer traders to see that, and so I really marked only the really good setups. But honestly, you can almost take every solid signal bar off the key entry point, regardless, on a trend like this, if you recognize it. And again, the way you recognize this is notice all the little small bars. Just notice how shallow the corrections are. You don't really get any real deep corrections. Most of them are a couple of swings back. But the real key is how you see all these little bars with they look like dojis and lots of little stems. And when you see that, that's a strong trend. And then it gives you a clue that we're about to get a break. Notice how it doesn't get back to the midline here, even less so here. Well, that tells you a break's probably coming. And you get a break here and then a move to a new high. And there's a couple of strong swings in there and that too. And then we sold off after that. So, I mean, this was a perfect price action day. And again, if when you see these and you recognize these strong trends, just look for good setups. I mean, all you needed were the really good ones here that I marked. But if you want to be a little more aggressive and try to take advantage of a day like this, buy every pullback to this trend line that gives you a good signal bar. And you'll probably be fine. But you got to recognize the type day, and you got to know it's a good, strong trend day like this. But let's back out, and we'll talk about the trades. It won't take long. There's not a lot of them, but they're all pretty straightforward. So, and this is one of those days where you get a little bit of a close outside during the overnight hours, but it doesn't really lead to a. And if you just got on track here, that held you the rest of the day. You can clearly see that trend line working all the way up until we get a close outside, a correction, two legs to a new high. It's actually a little more than two legs. But if you measure that first one, we got just a tad more than two measured legs up, and then it sold off. That would have been a perfect target for you when we started going higher again. So anyway, let's come back down here and go through the trades and wrap this day up. It's after 5 now, so I'm a little late getting this up, but it's Monday for me. So, and I've been trying to take some time off on the weekend, so I have to catch up on Mondays. But anyway, first trade I saw, this is coming in right at 7 o'clock. This is just slightly after 7 o'clock. 7 o'clock comes as we're breaking back to the trend line here. Notice you got a new swing low. You get a first entry short. You get a second entry short. This is all bouncing off the key entry point. And at this point, at the very minimum, I'd be looking for a measured move, which is way up here. And you can see that's where we got our first correction. So we still got a lot of room to the upside here. I shouldn't say a lot, but based on that measured move, you still got plenty of room to the upside. But that's a failed second entry short. It's right off that key entry point. Notice the new low, first entry, second entry, fails real quickly. Nice bullish bar. It doesn't matter really on a failure. Run straight up, and then you get 2 legs back. There's a hidden second entry in there. Notice you move down, you correct, and you move down for the second leg. But there's another reason to take this trade. This is basically a double bottom right here. So first entry, second entry. So it's another failed second entry short with the trend. Nice signal bar. And if you want to play a little safer, there's a higher low right there. Either one of those, and look at it go. Takes off. I don't think I would enter up here. You're already closed outside. We're going to get a little correction here. There's actually a failure here that's really tempting, and it would have worked, but you're really in congestion. Look how flat the EMA has gotten right there. I think you're better off to wait. It runs on up. You get a first entry, and it comes down here, and you get a second entry actually right there. But you don't want to go long with that doji right there. I'd really count this as a double top, and so there's your first entry, and there's your real second entry right there. But that signal bar is too bearish. But if you just be patient a minute, it breaks lower, turns, goes out the other side on an engulfing bar. Go long right there on the engulfing bar. Or this one's close. It's not a perfect setup, really, if you waited for the bar to close. But I like going long. When it bounces right off that key entry point, it has all the way up. Just go long right there, especially on the second entry. Or really a higher low after a second entry, I should say. And it runs on up, pulls back. Now, I didn't mark this one, but this breaks lower, turns up. If it breaks higher, we're probably going higher. I mean, look at that key entry point. It's been playing all the way up. This is a strong trend. I didn't mark it, but I like it. You just about have to take every one of them. Again, we're coming back. You got a new swing high right there, first entry. There's a second entry right there, but not a very good setup. Then there's a failed second entry short right there. But again, look how congestive that is. I'd wait and see if we test this trend line again. And then it kind of works on over and breaks out a little lower below these bars and gives you a bullish bar. Again, right off that key entry point. Just go long. As soon as you get a bullish bar off that key entry point, look at it take off. And that's all. The smart traders are just waiting for it to reset back to the trend line. We run up here. You do get a first entry and then a second entry right there, but again, too congestive. And I just don't see anything else right up through there. You might have taken this right here. This is actually a second entry long. Notice the first entry, second entry. It's not a great signal bar though, but it is off this key entry point, but you haven't really confirmed that yet. So there's a good chance prices are coming back here to the main trend line. So by the time this gets confirmed, it's already ending. And so I just don't think it's worthwhile to enter there. If this was a nice signal bar, maybe. Second entry right here. I didn't mark this one, but this is another one. Notice that high first entry. But notice this looks like, this is really a double top, and this looks like one leg down. And without that being a very good signal bar, it's a little bit risky. Again, it's a strong trend, and everything off the key entry point's bouncing, so maybe you take it. But it's at least green. And we run up, we make another new high, first entry, and there's a second entry there. We didn't break lower. It looks congestive. It's an inside bar. But notice what happens. It breaks lower right here. Actually, I'm not sure if it breaks higher or lower first. It's an outside bar. And I'd just wait and see if you get a failure, which you do just a couple of bars later, and then look how it takes off right there. It traps the shorts. That's the better place to enter. This one's a possibility, but I'd wait on this one right here. But you could go long above this bar. And technically, that's a second entry long when it breaks above this bar right here, because this is a double top, so you're moving down first entry, then it backs up. So there's your second entry right there, technically. So, but wait on this failure right here. Of course, you may not get a failure, so that's a reason you might take that one. You know, you could argue for that one to be green, but I'd be honest, I'd wait. And if you do enter on the engulfing bar, let's say it broke higher first and then it turns down and then it starts trading back up. You could have entered when it went back past there again, but what you'd want to do is your stop has to go below the previous low, which would be down here, until this closes, because at this point you don't know where this low could be. It might trade down some more before it goes higher. So your stop on an engulfing bar like that always has to go below the previous bar, and that makes it a little bit more risky, but this is a fairly small, tight little congestion area here, so the better trade is here, and you can see the smart traders know that, and look how it rockets up, because it's a trap. It traps all these people short, and then boom, they realize, oh, I'm wrong. There's another second entry here. I didn't mark this one either. Notice the new high, first entry, second entry, but you're going long right into all that resistance right there. But this is, again, this has been a strong trend. That is a second entry long. It is off this minor key entry point, this real tight channel here, but it looks like we've got an overshoot too, and that usually leads to a break. So I'm a little leery of that one, but again, it's one you could argue to be green if you really wanted to. I would wait. We run on up, and then notice you get a first entry, and you come out, you get a second entry here. This just looks like one leg down, so I would wait. And you actually get a second entry long right here, but this is starting to look, the reason I don't like this one, the signal bar is pretty good, and it is off the key entry point, the EMA there, and you would have got just enough to scalp out. It's exactly a 6-tick move, which is what you need to enter with a buy stop and exit with a limit order. So it would have worked, but I'm not crazy about it because you're just right into those highs right there, and it's just not a great entry in my opinion. I think you're better to wait. Notice it comes back. I don't even really like this one. It breaks lower and turns up, but it can't get above that bar. If it would have went on above it, I'd probably make this blue, I'm sorry. But it's not, technically this is a failed second entry short. So if it breaks higher right there, as long as you got room to get out, you probably take that trade, which it does. And this is why you got to be careful here, because look how it rockets down. I think you made a new high here. So let me just look. The high is 99.50. Over here it's 99.50. So you made a double top. You didn't quite get a new high. And notice what happens. You get two legs of correction. There's two legs down with a little two-legged correction in the middle. You can see that. We didn't quite get a measured move either. So when this bounces right here with two legs down, you're probably, this has been a very strong uptrend. So the overall bias is still up. And this is just a correction, and this could be the center of a pattern of a second leg up, and it may still be yet. But notice we had this trading range, and this is a fail out of it with two legs down, and look how bullish that bar is right there. This is one of those times where you might catch an important low, because we're probably going to make a new high on a trend this strong. So I like these trades, and if you catch this trade, that's the trade of the day. Look at it go. I already showed you the two measured legs up, and then we actually went a tad further, and then it sells off. And you easily get a runner on this, and look at it go. There's another setup right here, but it's just too congestive right into that resistance. Just not a good, even though it goes higher, that is not a good place to enter. And I just don't see anything else up here this late in the day. Again, this looks a little congestive here. It pulls back right here, but not much room to the highs, and then it's 2 o'clock. I just don't see anything else. If you didn't enter down here, I don't think you can really, there's not a good enough trade to really risk on that entry. It's getting so late in the day that you got to be really careful, especially past here. Once you break above here, now you've got a close outside and a move to a new high, and you could reverse at any time. So, and it comes back to this key entry point here, but you just don't get a very good setup. So you just have to pass it up. But that's what I saw today, and this is a pretty, I mean, you have to learn to see these spiking channels, because I guarantee you there were some of you that were probably trying to look at how to make this work, and you could never make it work. And And that's because it's a spike in channel. Hopefully you can clearly see that channel working higher there. And it gave you a clue this break was coming because the last couple of pushes up, it couldn't even get back to the midline, and then it turns down, corrects, and then we go higher looking for the a retest of the highs. So again, that's perfect price action. A really good trading day, and I'm not going to beat around the bush. It's Monday. I'd like to get this uploaded, so I'm going to wrap it up. And hope you had a good trading day. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow. I'm done for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.